In last year's Dark Side of the Pokedex video, I looked into some of the creepier and disturbing non-ghost Pokedex entries. So this year, it's time to take a look at some of the spooky mons that inhabit the Pokemon world, starting with the brand new Generation 9 in Bramblin. This tumbleweed-inspired mon seems harmless at first glance, but its Dex entry reveals that it is a soul unable to move on to the afterlife, that was blown around by the wind until it got tangled up with the dried grass and became a Pokemon. This brings up the larger question of just how many dead people's souls are considered lost in the Pokemon world. Generation 8 gave us possibly the most frustrating way to evolve a Pokemon ever, resulting in the criminally underrated Runerigus. The Pokedex claims this to be a powerful curse woven into an ancient painting, and after absorbing the spirit of a Yamask, it began to move. Certainly not the most terrifying Pokemon on this list by a long shot, but the task required to obtain it is almost horrifying enough to be included. Gen 7's Alola region is full of really great Pokemon designs, and was poised and ready to continue Game Freak's long tradition of creating a regional Pikachu clone, as the community so lovingly dubs it. But what we got was one of the game developer's greatest creations. Mimikyu wants nothing more than to be a Pikachu, which on the surface is kinda relatable and cute. But then the Dex tells us that no one has ever seen what Mimikyu actually looks like. And the sight is so horrifying, it would actually kill you, which nearly happens to Meowth in the Sun and Moon anime. Generation 6 is littered with awesome and creepy ghost-type Pokemon, but the one that sticks out the most to me is Phantump. This adorable-looking haunted tree stump is apparently born from the lost souls of children who died in the forest. That's creepy enough, but the really messed up part comes from its Dex entry in Pokemon Shield, wherein it states that Phantump uses its voice like a human child's to draw its victims deep into the forest, never to return. While adults primarily respond to its calls, there is something particularly unnerving about the fact that the Pokemon could also lure children to their untimely end, unintentionally creating more lost Phantump who cry throughout the night. This Pokemon basically creates a never-ending cycle of its kind. The Black and White era of Pokemon games is seen as a hard reset for the franchise, and it boasts one of the widest varieties of Pokemon since the original 151. The ghost Pokemon in this region are hit and miss, looking at you Jellicent in your Pringles man looking ass face, but one of the most well-designed lines comes from the Chandelure evolution tree, and none are more disturbing than the middle stage evolution of Lampent. It is said that this Pokemon's flame is fueled by the spirits it absorbs, with the Pokemon regularly hanging out by nearby hospitals as it waits for people to pass on. Lampent identifies people close to death and stays by them, not to comfort them, but to strengthen its own flames. Gen 4 is by far the deepest when it comes to Pokemon boasting terrifying Pokedex lore, but only one has had the devs at Game Freak working to dispel its horrifying reputation. Drifloon was originally described as a Pokemon that grabs the hands of small children and drags them away to the afterlife. It also apparently hates heavy children, so not only is this Pokemon a child abductor, but a fat shamer as well. Additionally, if you were to say pop a Drifloon, the escaping sound you will hear is its screaming spirit. Extra shout out to Spiritomb for not only being the combination of 108 spirits, but also being an absolute menace on the always intimidating Cynthia's team. Hoenn's creepy ghost is one of the rather tragic backstories in the Pokemon world. Banette is said to have its roots based on a discarded doll, with the Pokemon's mouth resembling that of a zipper. Banette has a need to prove its worth to others as something much more than a doll to just be thrown away. It keeps its life force safely in its body by the means of its zipped up mouth. Now, if unzipped, it would lose its energy. However, when the Pokemon Mega evolves, it is filled with so much power and vindictiveness, it cannot help but curse its trainer. Generation 2's ghost selection is, well, a rather easy one, because it only has one to choose from, with that being Misdreavus. but that doesn't mean it's any less of a terrifying, albeit cute, ghost type. In the original Gold and Silver games, it's stated that it likes playing mischievous tricks such as screaming and wailing to startle people at night, as well as loving to bite and yank people's hairs from behind without warning, just to see their shocked reactions. A more common dex entry from later games adds that Mischievous frightens people with a creepy, sobbing cry. It apparently uses its red spheres to absorb the fear of foes as its nutrition. And finally, we have Kanto and the original ghostly trio of Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar. While Ghastly has a rather disturbing first appearance in the Pokemon anime, and Gengar, along with its Mega and Gigantamax forms, boasts some very disturbing facts, it's Haunter that takes the cake for me. It is stated that it's dangerous to go outside alone on nights when you're feeling sad. Haunter will catch you, and you won't be able to go back home. A later entry would also add the fact that its tongue is made of gas. If licked, its victim starts shaking constantly until death eventually comes. The Pokemon world has loads of other great and disturbing Pokedex entries, so if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, so as to never miss out on a new video. Be sure to also check out last year's Dark Side of the Pokedex video covering some creepy non-ghost type Pokedex entries. I've been Summers, Baka the Basics, and I'll see you the next time that class is in session.